to another video. Today we are going to be ranking every single Marvel Phase 4 show up until She-Hulk Attorney at Law. So this is made in October of 2022. So let's start things off with the first show in Phase 4 and the thing that actually kicked off Phase 4, WandaVision.
Yeah, thank you, Harry. WandaVision was a sitcom type show. It was like a breath of fresh air after what happened in Phase 3 involving Infinity War and Endgame. WandaVision takes place in Westview, an American city, and based on
Less of a city, more of a little town, I guess.
it's based on the lives of Wanda and Vision, who isn't actually Vision, but if you watch WandaVision, you know what I mean. So lots of people loved WandaVision. They said it was probably one of the best things to happen in Phase 4 compared to the other shows. Lots of people complained about in Phase 2 and Phase 3, everything felt the same in terms of movies. So WandaVision was definitely different. And I wonder if it actually gave inspiration for She-Hulk Attorney at Law following the similar sitcom theme. I generally think that WandaVision is a good show and a good start to Phase 4. I'd definitely rank it either a high A or an S tier. An A or an S tier.
Okay, we'll put it at a high 8, just to start things off. Now we're moving on to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was kind of the show that reminded a lot of people that this was indeed the MCU, the action-packed franchise that they'd come to know and love. This show follows Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, the two friends of Captain America, who obviously, as you know in Endgame, went back to live a nice life with Peggy. Now, this show kind of deals with many different things, as well as the main plot of having Sam take up the shield and take up the mantle as Captain America, and Bucky dealing with the trauma of having been the Winter Soldier. It also has underlying themes of like racism and Captain America kind of being a symbol that a black man has never been able to hold before, and Sam kind of, I don't know, defying that. The show has 6 episodes compared to WandaVision's 7 and was received generally well. One thing that was criticized were the villains kind of being generic and kind of pointless. But apart from that, the show is pretty good. I would say a B. The action is good, the internal conflict is kind of fun, and Bucky and Sam bounce off each other quite well. Now on to Loki.
Thank you, Harry. Loki was indeed one of my favorite shows. And lots of people loved Loki. In fact, IMDb rated it a solid 9 or an 8.7, something around that. The thing I like about Loki is it's a different take. It's not a take on even a hero. It's a take on a villain. And I feel as if the MCU hasn't ever really done that before. So like WandaVision, it is kind of a new perspective. Loki is very intuitive as it explores the multiverse. Sure, there might have not been action near the final few, in the last episode, but still, that doesn't stop it from being a very good show. Sylvie is the TVA, the twist of the TVA is a very good twist in my opinion, and also the fact that Sylvie isn't the main villain, but more or less a misunderstood person, it makes it a version of Loki. I still like that. It's a nice thing. I know I've not explained this very well, but you can go look up the reviews.
So
I rate it an A. I rate it an A.
Okay, yeah, we'll put it just below WandaVision. Now we move on to What If. So, Falcon and the Winter Soldier both had 6 episodes. Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki both had 6 episodes. What If brings us back to 9 episodes like WandaVision. And it's kind of different from all these shows in that none of them are really connected up until the end. Like the name suggests, What If explores different scenarios. What if this happened instead of this? For example, what if Peggy Carter took the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers? What if T'Challa got abducted instead of Peter Quill by the Ravagers? What if Ultron won in Age of Ultron? Things like that. And it kind of brings a unique perspective onto the fact that the multiverse is kind of infinite and absolutely anything can happen. And the show definitely gets better as it goes along, exploring like more outlandish ideas. Like the first episode is just kind of a gender swap with Peggy Carter instead of Steve Rogers, and then as the show goes on, it's kind of really different and intuitive and different, and kind of explores a lot of different ideas that lots of people didn't think would ever be like that. For example, swapping Gamora with Iron Man, things like that. The show does obviously have a conclusion. It's not just 9 standalone adventures. Near the end, it brings all of the characters together for one finale against Ultron, the main villain of the show, and it's pretty entertaining. A lot of people didn't like the fact that it was all connected, but I feel like it kind of gave the show an overall vibe of, despite it being several connected stories, it was all still part of one singular show. I would say this is a high B. The show was animated, unlike the first kind of animated thing in the MCU. But I would say the animation style is kind of unique and different, and it works really well for this show. Now on to Hawkeye.
Thank you, Harry. Hawkeye takes place just a few months after Endgame, or is it year? Yeah, Hawkeye takes place a year after Endgame.
It takes place It takes place during the same time as Spider-Man: No Way Home. Wait, Spider-Man. No Way Home.
No. Hawkeye takes place a year after Endgame. Far From Home takes place.
Oh yeah, no. No Way Home takes place right after Far From Home. No Way Home takes place right after Far From Home. Hawkeye takes place a year afterwards. Yeah, despite them both coming out at the same time.
Okay, moving on. Hawkeye is a unique, something unique. But unlike most Avengers who got movies, Hawkeye got a series. Lots of people thought it should have been a movie because he's an Avenger, and lots of people thought it'd be a series. I didn't mind either of them. I didn't mind if it was going to be a movie or a series. I would have probably preferred if it was a series, though, only because series are better, in my opinion. So, on to the general synopsis. Hawkeye takes place at Christmas, like I said. It revolves not around Clint Barton, but more or less around Kate Bishop, some young adult who stumbles into the dark world of Hawkeye, and because she dons the Ronin suit, and that's how she gets involved within this dark world. And she encounters the tracksuit mafia who want to kill her, and Hawkeye has to step in to save her. Hawkeye ended up having to work with her to help her get rid of the tracksuit mafia, but Kate wanted to get involved and help him stop them. And yeah, about the tracksuit and mafia, I don't know why I keep saying it weirdly. I didn't really like them as villains. They just more or less seem like street level gangsters, and considering that Hawkeye is like a major Avenger, not the craziest one, but he's still an Avenger. Considering that he's an Avenger and the villains are literally some mobsters, kind of feels a little trivial and kind of feels like something that you've seen in a lot of movies. And I didn't like the tracksuit mafia. But Maya Lopez was a unique villain, though, and we'll be seeing more of her in Echo whenever that comes out. I think that comes out in July or June 2024 or 2023, somewhere around that time. She was a unique villain, but the problem was, I feel like they crammed Kingpin into the end. He was a nice villain in Daredevil, but cramming him in Hawkeye kind of felt a bit unnecessary. He only stayed in one episode, and he does make a lot of mistakes in the show. For example, his first of all is a tire, and also killing off Maya's father, and also that twist maybe felt a little bit that also felt a bit trivial. Overall, Hawkeye is a very good show. I do like the banter between Kate and Clint. The dynamic works so well. And it's a very good show. I'd rate it a solid A or B.
We'll put it in a mid A. Now moving into the shows that were released in 2022. Early 2022 kicked off with Moonlight, a unique Marvel show because it was actually rated a 16 instead of most of the 12s of the other shows. As well as this, it kind of dealt with the idea of a dual personality. We were introduced to the character of Stephen, who was just a British man who was just living his normal life, and he was getting these flashes of violent outbursts. And it's revealed in the episodes that follow that he has two personalities, Mark Spector and obviously Stephen. The show kind of revolves around both of these people trying to live together in one body while facing an evil guy who wants to bring back a god named, what was her name? Amit, who is essentially going to kill people before they commit mistakes, while the god that kind of gives Moon Knight his powers, Khonshu, delivers justice after it's been committed. For example, if someone committed a murder, Khonshu would punish them afterwards, while Amit would punish them before and cause it to never take place in the first time. It provides a nice ethical dilemma for the audience to just think about, and the idea of having a dual personality is really explored quite well in the show. And I would say that I wish it could have been longer, but apart from that, it's a pretty good origin story. I would say this fits nicely into I would say low A, high, mid A.
I'd say S. I'd say low S.
Low S. Yeah, you know what?
We don't have any shows in the S tier though.
Yeah, I guess we'll put Moon Knight in S. Why not? Now,
and we don't have. I think WandaVision probably deserves to be in S as well.
Maybe we'll see. Now we're moving on to Miss Marvel. So Miss Marvel is the next origin story that came out, focusing on a Pakistani girl named Kamala. In the first episode, when she goes to Comic Con, she gets a bangle that belonged to her grandmother and adds it to her costume, unknowingly giving her superpowers. Over the following episodes, she's faced with multiple different threats that she's forced to use her powers to essentially combat. The show is good at exploring the idea of like a teenager getting her powers and having to deal with this, especially exploring the Pakistani girl and things like their beliefs and things like that. But the one problem with the show is that the villains and motivations are kind of not that good. The main villain of this is an organization called the Department of Damage Control, and they essentially try and bomb a school to kill some kids. That's literally what the finale is about. And it comes across as kind of clumsy and kind of counterintuitive in a lot of ways, and as well as the other villains, the Jinn. So essentially, what they try and do is convince Kamala to help them, and then immediately after, they get impatient and choose to try and threaten her family. Things escalate quite quickly, and the decisions made by a lot of characters in these shows, including the villains, just doesn't make much sense in general. But apart from that, the show's okay. I would say it's a high B. If the villains' motivations were a bit more well established and well developed, then I think it would be better. Now moving on to the last show, She-Hulk Attorney at Law.
She-Hulk Attorney at Law is a sitcom type show, just like WandaVision, but essentially a worse version of it. The problem with She-Hulk Attorney at Law, for me, the problem is that it's kind of like what if. There's like a lot of standalone episodes that don't really link to the story, and also the villain is like a recurring character who only comes in the fourth episode, and also the problem is the ending was not good. The whole meta ending thing I didn't really like it. It kind of ruined the entire show and the MCU. The show does nicely revolve around Jen's life. The whole sitcom type shows that it's not about just being a superhero. It more or less focuses on Jen being a normal person. And there were some cameos like Eno Blonsky and Daredevil, but they didn't really do much to up boost the show and upheave the show. And IMDb rated Attorney at Law like a 5 out of 10, which isn't great compared to the other shows. The She-Hulk Attorney at Law is considered to be the worst thing released in Phase 4, and I don't blame it. The sitcom thing was nice, and the meta ending was definitely unique because, well, the whole ending with Abomination, Titania, Hulk, and the Hulk King or whatever, it would have been some crazy brawl out, but it would have forgotten the main thing, Jen's life. I feel like as if that ending, the whole Hulk Abomination Titania ending, would have been better for World War Hulk, which will be coming soon, but not in Phase 4. Maybe Phase 5 or Phase 6. But I thought, from what I've seen of a Tanya law, as I say, a Tanya of law, I would have definitely rated it a C or a B.
Let's put it in C. Give some variety.
The villain wasn't that good. All he wanted, like the stakes weren't that high. All he wanted was just to get Jen's blood and cause trouble. I feel like I think we've already seen that with Abomination in the Incredible Hulk 2008. I mean 2007. Sorry.
Another problem with the show that I'd like to add is that so like I said in What If, the last episode kind of connected it all. The problem with this show is that nothing really feels that connected. Each episode just feels like a completely different thing that has no connection to the rest of the story. Like, for example, in the last, like Sparsh said, in the last episode, you have all of these different plot points coming together, but you only have them mentioned like once every single episode. You have maybe 1 or 2 minutes every single episode dedicated to setting up the overall story, and that kind of hurts the overall impact of kind of building up to a finale.
Yes, but I mean, while it does show that Jen's life is like a normal life, nothing is like coordinated. Everything is it's just either separate things happen, separate things happen each day. So it's sort of focusing on Jen's life. I feel like it's not building up enough as a plot because like Harry said, there's only while it's revolving around Jen, there's not enough happening in the background for a plot to develop because only 2 minutes of it is, actually connected to a show. And the rest of it is either Jen talking, some lawyer stuff, or some other pointless characters who are stealing the show for one episode.
So I think that's pretty much ends it. So that is our review of all shows from Phase 4. Feel free to disagree in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe and watch our previous videos about Marvel Phase 4 and our review of Thor: Love and Thunder. And I hope.
Wait a minute, isn't Hawkeye disabled?
And that'll allow you to leave. Goodbye.